Western diplomats say they plan to pursue tougher new sanctions against Iran despite strong resistance from other countries. China has ruled out further measures, saying a solution can only be reached through dialogue. And we're now joined by RT's Marina Fortnau, who's in New York for us. Hello there, Marina. So the deadline for Iran to comply with the international proposals has expired. Can we expect new sanctions soon then?
That's right. The U.S. imposed deadline on Iran over its nuclear program expired late last month, but a fourth round of sanctions to come down the pipe anytime soon is not likely, and that is because of China. The Chinese ambassador to the UN came forward in recent days saying that more time and patience is needed, that diplomatic negotiations with Iran are ongoing, and this is not something that the U.S. and some Western countries were hoping for. Now, China, we need to remember, has a veto-wielding power within the UN Security Council. So any resolution that were to be passed that includes sanctions on Iran would have to be supported by China. In the past year, we've also seen the U.S. trying to woo Russia to gain support, to hammer out more pressure, more sanctions on Iran. But in recent days, these comments coming from China, it doesn't look likely that sanctions against Iran will be taking place anytime soon. Now, we have to remember that Iran has been given a proposal by the five veto-wielding members of the UN and Germany. They've proposed to Iran that that they would enrich uranium for Iran and then ship it back to the country. Now, Iran says that it's enriching uranium, its nuclear facilities are only being used for peaceful purposes. The U.S. and some Western countries say that that Iran's nuclear program is an international threat because of all its secrecy. So Iran has not accepted or denied these proposals that have been made last year. The deadline has expired, but right now it doesn't look like sanctions from the UN Security Council will be coming down anytime soon.
So international efforts seem to be in a deadlock with Iran neither rejecting nor accepting the proposals. What's next? Does the US need to change its strategy, maybe?
Well, the U.S., you could say, is in a bit of a damage control mode. They're trying to save face. They want to look tough, but they don't want to obviously act unilaterally. We have seen U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton step out in recent days saying that that Washington will continue to put pressure on Iran, hinting towards possible sanctions on just the country's Revolutionary Guards. But it doesn't seem like that it would do much, considering there's been many reports that the Revolutionary Guards of Iran do not keep their monies or their finances going through and moving through banks. So it doesn't it's not clear if that would even have any kind of effect on Iran's actions. Additionally, Washington and Europe are very concerned that if taking punitive measures against Iran, placing sanctions and hurting civilians in the country could help the Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad gain support under the banner of nationalism. And right now he's been facing opposition since his election last summer, which many people disputed the legitimacy of. So right now it's not clear what the U.S. will do. They're using harsh words, but they're willing to continue the negotiation process.
Yeah, and also President Obama promised to solve the Iranian issue through dialogue. Are there any real results?
That's a very good point to bring up. Essentially, there are no results at this point that differ from the results that were in place 1 year ago. President Obama did mention, as he was campaigning for his position when he became president, that he will speak to his adversaries, that the U.S. must sit down at the table with Iran, engage them in dialogue, and refrain from these harsh tactics that he referred to. He referred the Bush administration taking. But right now, if you look at the moves being taken by the Obama administration, essentially they are similar, very similar to the moves and to the rhetoric being heard, from the Bush administration now to the Obama administration. There's many similarities. And, President Obama also came into his position re-engaging the United Nations, something that the Bush administration was not known to do. So after re-engaging the United Nations, to go off off and act unilaterally is something that would look like a contradiction. But right now, to answer your question again, clearly there doesn't seem to be any different results right now under the new president of the United States.
All right, Marina, thank you very much indeed for that report. Marina Portnow reporting there live from New York.